So, most shonen stories follow a narrative format called the hero's journey. Now, I say format, but the hero's journey is not a guide to writing stories, nor do all stories need to follow this trope. The hero's journey is merely an analytical framework created by noting the common trends in ancient stories. How closely a story actually follows these trends doesn't hold any weight on how good the story actually is. Overly Sarcastic Productions made a great video on this. Now, in Bleach, we do see this trend being followed. The first chapter introduced us to Ichigo and his world of ghosts. Then we, alongside Ichigo, were introduced to the threat of hollows and the danger they pose to Ichigo and his family. Now here, in the second chapter of Bleach, Ichigo is met with a call to action. Rukia appears at his school, informing him that she can't use her powers and that he must step in, protecting ghosts all over from hollows. Ichigo immediately refuses. The reasons for why we will be digging into. Alongside that, we're going to start peeling back the layers of Rukia's mentality and how the fight against Hexapodus provides the stage of the first ideological clash between Ichigo and Rukia. Now, Ichigo lays out the reasons for his dismissal quite clearly. He doesn't want to go out of his way to protect strangers like some superhero. He'll throw down his life for his family, but that's the boundary of his compassion, or so he says. It's worth looking deeper into what's going on in Ichigo's head as he says this. Yeah, on the surface level, he's talking truth, but there's a deeper driving reason for his refusal. And again, we use knowledge of things we only learn later on, but we know that this Ichigo harbors deep feelings of guilt and self-resentment. If I had to label 3 main conflicts within Ichigo at this point, it would be this. He believes he's responsible for his mother's death. He believes he is powerless. He is afraid of hollows and of death. So, Ichigo's refusal to help Rukia here, it's not a case of him just not caring for others, it's his inner belief that he not only can't protect others, he'll only bring harm to them if he tries. It's no coincidence that this chapter opens with Ichigo having a nightmare that his family all died and blamed him for it. Yeah, the tone is quite comical, but this is Kubo we're talking about. It had meaning, beyond just humor. Now, in the face of Ichigo's refusal, the Rook takes action. She takes Ichigo to hang out at a park. She asks if a spirit appears there, and Ichigo proceeds to describe a 12-year-old ghost boy and even the usual time he appears in the park. Now, I know I may be reading too much into this, but I feel there is a subtext behind Ichigo knowing these details and Rukia asking if the ghost is a friend. It shows that Ichigo, at the very least, keeps the ghost he sees in his mind. Hell, our introduction to him is him beating a trio of skaters for knocking over a ghost's memorial. All because he thinks it will help that ghost move on. So far, Ichigo is showing a pretty consistent level of care for the ghost he claims not to worry about. Rukia then casually informs Ichigo that a hollow is about to attack the kid, and right on cue, I gotta say, Kubo really cooks with these hollow designs. This thing is downright horrifying. And once again, Ichigo jumps in to protect. Rukia stops Ichigo and challenges him. She highlights that Ichigo just claimed he wouldn't go out of his way to help strangers, and that whether he can see them or not, ghosts will be devoured all the same. She calls the act of saving the kid just because he's in front of Ichigo naive. Why save one spirit, then ignore the rest? If you feel the need to save one, commit yourself to saving all of them, even at the cost of your own life. This argument has 2 interesting points. On the surface, Rukia is trying to bestow Ichigo with a sense of duty, that he must save all spirits because that's what a Shinigami does. But underneath this message lies an appeal to emotion that I don't think even Rukia herself recognizes. After all, the entire point of this exercise is to make Ichigo feel the burden of watching a spirit be consumed. Her fist shakes and her voice wavers as she tells Ichigo that he must even lay down his life to protect all the people he can. And this shows us a lot of the heart of Rukia. We learn that while she takes her duty as a Shinigami very seriously, the reason she does is because she genuinely wants to protect people. She believes that those with power should protect those without it. And Ichigo also sees the subtext of Rukia's words. He remembers how Rukia protected him even at the risk of her own life, and then he takes action, seemingly accepting Rukia's ultimatum. In a quick panel, the Hollow actually speaks, asking who Ichigo is, which is setting up some things we will learn about Hollows quite soon. Ichigo cuts a leg off, sending the beast tumbling back. Rukia thinks this means Ichigo has accepted the duty of a Shinigami. Ichigo rebuffs Rukia with the same argument she unknowingly made to him, that she didn't sacrifice herself out of a sense of duty, but simply because her feelings compelled her to. And even if we're wrong, even if Rukia really does just feel a strong sense of Shinigami duty, Ichigo claims that he, at least, is different. Essentially that he will act according to his own feelings, that if he wants to save someone, he will, and if he gets scared, he'll run. And ultimately, Ichigo concludes that he will pay back his life debt to Rukia. He accepts the call to action. Of course, we know debt repayment isn't Ichigo's driving motivation here. You may have noticed that Ichigo essentially only rebutted the surface of Rukia's argument, the call of duty. And he did that by basically agreeing with the deeper motivation that Rukia was trying to make him understand, the need to protect others simply because that is the will of the heart. And it's interesting because Rukia and Ichigo reach an unspoken understanding here. Before, Rukia believed she acted solely out of duty, unaware of why she was actually following that duty. Now she's more aware of the emotional force behind why she protects people, and she sees that Ichigo is driven by the same heart. Later, there will be some conflicts between the concepts of duty and heart, but for now, all that's happened is Rukia's become more aware of herself thanks to Ichigo. She is now slightly more in touch with her emotions, slightly more human. As for Ichigo, well, before he refused to help Rukia at all due to his fear and his naivety about hollows. But now, Rukia has made him understand the real plight of spirits everywhere. He has been made to remember that Rukia did throw her life on the line to save his and his family's. And his quick takedown of Hexapodus solidifies the fact that he now has the power to protect people himself. Now, Ichigo believes he killed his mother. He believes he has power. He is less afraid of hollows, but still fears death. And so, our motives are set. Ichigo, our hero, will go out and protect spirits, and Rukia, as a depowered mentor, will advise and guide him through the everly more complex world of Bleach. The end of the chapter rewards us with this super cute sketch of Orihime anxiously waiting for Ichigo to return, holding her math book upside down. Ha ha ha. This plays into Orihime's introduction to the story earlier this chapter, which was oddly rearranged in the anime. See, in the manga we have Orihime, Tatsuki, and Mizuryu together, talking about Orihime's crush on Ichigo. And obviously, this does the interesting thing of establishing that Orihime already has a thing for our MC, skipping the whole winning the maiden's heart trope that tends to be quite common in mainstream shonen. But in the anime, they've completely changed the scene, so that now Orihime and Tatsuki are just talking about Orihime's interesting recipes. Then Orihime bumps into Ichigo, pulls a Hinata, and runs away. And look, this does show that Orihime clearly feels some way for Ichigo, but it's way less apparent. And it's the start of a long trend of blurring the romance between the two characters, something that's way more clearly depicted throughout the manga. But we'll look into that another time. Ciao.